You hypocrites, you know how to interpret the appearance of the earth and the sky. Why don't you not know how to interpret the present time? So how do we interpret the present time? How do you interpret the present time? How do you interpret things happening in your life, in your family, in your work, in the neighborhood, in society, in the political realm? How do you interpret things? Now, in the context of the Gospel of Luke, chapter 12, verse 54 and 59, is giving us a principle of how to interpret the present time. And the how is, where is it coming from? If you know where something is from, it helps you interpret what it means. So let's just look at the gospel. It says, Jesus said to the crowds, when you see a cloud rising from the west, you say immediately that it's going to rain, and it does, it rains. And when you notice that the wind is blowing from the south, you say that it's going to be hot, and so it is. And then the statement, you hypocrite, you know how to interpret the appearance of the earth and the sky. Why do you not know how to interpret the present time? So the principle here is based on what is coming our way, where it's coming from, will help us interpret the present time. So in the context of geography, Jerusalem, from the west, what do you find in the west? The west. The Mediterranean Sea. So if a cloud is coming from the sea, it's going to come loaded with water. So if it comes from the west, it comes from the sea. If it's coming from the sea, it's loaded with water, it's going to rain. And so it rains. What's in the south? The desert. Negev. Negev. Desert Negev. So if the wind is coming from the south, if it's coming from a desert, what's going to happen? It's going to be hot. So a principle to know how to interpret things, and in particular how to interpret the present time, is where are things coming from? Now it's easy in regards to geography, not as easy to interpret things happening in the present time. Because where are things coming from? And here's this very powerful principle that I often see it erroneously interpreted. And the principle is this: to whom you attribute things coming from will impact how you interpret the things that are happening. So if you say this is happening because so-and-so, then now you're giving power to so-and-so to be the cause of things happening now. Oh, that's because it's coming from blah, 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 blah. And if it's coming from blah, 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 then based on blah, 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 who they are or what intentions they have, then that's how you're going to begin to interpret things. A classical one that I often hear is spiritual direction. The devil keeps doing this. Now, if things are coming from the devil, and you already know the devil to be evil, bad, malicious, is looking for to destroy you, is looking to for you to get lost, and to get caught up in darkness and lose your salvation, then if that's who you interpret to be the cause, if it's coming from the devil, that's how you're going to interpret things happening. Well, this is for my destruction, this is for... And the mistake here is that we often give too much power to Satan. Satan does not have the power to cause things. There's only one that has the power to cause all things. Who's that? It's God. Now, if you attribute that things are coming from God, and God is, as we have come to understand, good, loving, wise, powerful, always seeking what's best for us. Well, then how are you going to interpret the present time? Things happening for good, out of love, in wisdom, and for the greater good. You see how what you interpret the cause, where things coming from, will influence how you interpret things. Not only how to interpret things, but then how you live your life. If everything's coming from the devil against you, then you're going to live your life very fearful, afraid, defensive. You never know what's the next trick the evil one is going to do on you. But if it's from God, good, powerful, loving, always seeking the great good, in the present time, even the worst case scenario, you know that he's working for good. And all things work for good for those who love the Lord. Now, maybe good to complement it with the first reading here, the letter of Paul to Ephesians, chapter 4, 1 to 6. And here, specifically verse 6, it says, one God and Father of all, who is over all, through all, and in all. So, as we try to interpret the present time, where is it coming from? Is it coming from the sea? Is it coming from the desert? In the present time, if the gospel to the first reading says, one Father of all, who is over all, meaning he's watching over all, working through all, and in all. If that's the origin, where things are coming from, now you know how to interpret the present time. That's become a principle that I'm trying to teach, and I'll continue repeating in regards to the hurricane Milton. And each one of us has been dealing with the hurricane and other hurricanes in your own personal life beyond just the natural disaster. Whatever you are going through in your life right now, let's go to the root of it. Where's it coming from? Careful not to give too much power to the devil. The devil has no power unless God has allowed it. Because God is over all, including Satan. Yes, enemy of God, but not more powerful than God. Whatever your hurricane, whatever your storm, whatever difficulties you're having, ultimately it all comes from the source of all, who is over all, who works through all, who is in all. And that is God the Father. And yes, as a good, wise, loving Father, he will often allow very difficult things in our lives because he is a good Father who once was best for us. And often, parents have to allow difficult things on their children so that their children can grow and be better persons and grow out to be the best they can be. Parents don't like to allow the difficulties that children have to often go through. But if you don't, how are they going to grow? That's why God is a Father, as revealed by Jesus Christ. And as a Father, he often allows for tough love, difficult things that are meant to help us grow and be better and greater. Why? Because the cause and origin from where all things are coming is from a loving, good, powerful, wise Father. When you see a cloud rising from the west, you say it's going to rain, and it does. When you see that wind is blowing from the south, you say it's going to be hot, and it is. You hypocrites, you know how to interpret the appearance of the earth and the sky. Why do you not know how to interpret the present time?